this could be us. So back to what I was saying. Could be us.
Yo, what's poppin', my people? It's your boy Crooks Great, back at you guys with another banger of a video. And in today's video, we're going to be doing a UFC 284 recap. We're going to be looking at each fight as well as the scorecards. You guys see them up here on the screen. And I'm going to be telling you guys what I thought of the fights as well as what I think, where I think all of these fighters go in their next, possibly their next matchups. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started here with the first fight. And we're only doing the main card, guys, because, you know, that's pretty much what we were all interested in. So the first fight was Jimmy Crute versus Alonzo Menifield. And as you guys can see here, this fight, if you guys watched this fight live or you guys didn't get to catch this fight live, this had every single thing you would want in a damn fight. I mean, it was back and forth. You had a takedown. You had Jimmy Crute getting up in full mount. You had Alonzo Menifield just cracking him with looping punches. Almost had Jimmy Crute out of there multiple damn times. It was just an overall wild fight. I mean, it looked like a typical UFC fight when guys just spam buttons. You know what I mean? You know, when you get up against an opponent, you spam your buttons and you look up at the end of the second round and you barely have any damn stamina. That's how both of these guys look. Very, very close fight. It had pretty much had everything. It didn't even had a point reduction for a damn fence grab. And to be honest, Alonzo Menifield, you got to be sneakier, bro. I mean, dude was just grabbing the fence to get up off the ground. I mean, Jimmy Crute was doing a good job of shooting for multiple takedowns because he had to. He had to keep shooting for them takedowns because Alonzo Menifield was just swinging from right field most of the damn night. But, yeah, overall, a really, really good fight. You guys see the judges' scorecards here. One judge had it, Ben Cartlidge, I think that's how you say his name. He had it 10-9, 10-9. And then because of the fence grab in the third round, he had a 10-8. So that's really, that fence grab really came to bite Alonzo Menifield in the ass for that one. And then the second judge, Derek Cleary, had it 10-9, 10-8 for Jimmy Crute, and 10-9 in the first round for Alonzo Menifield. And then David Lithaby had it 10-9, 10-9, 10-8. So because of Ben and David's scorecards, it was a majority draw. So where do I see both of these guys going? I really see them rerunning it, but honestly, in my opinion, I don't see Jimmy Crute winning this fight. If I was Jimmy Crute, I would really move on from fighting Alonzo Menifield because Alonzo Menifield really put it on Jimmy Crute. And if he could just learn how to stop the takedowns and not get stalled out on the ground and not get put in bad positions like he did, he's going to knock Jimmy Crute out. Jimmy Crute's chin has really not been the same since, I would say, the Anthony Smith fight. Anthony Smith really did a number on Jimmy Crute, and then he went on to fight Jamal Hill where he got slept. And now, you know, against Alonzo Menifield, Alonzo almost had him out of there multiple times. So I think this fight's going to get remade, but honestly, I really feel like Alonzo in the next fight, if it does get rebooked, is going to be able to put Jimmy Crute out of there. But let's go ahead and jump into the next fight, guys, and it's Justin Tafa versus Parker Porter. This fight was so damn fast. You really, like, what really more do you need to say? Justin Tafa just hit Parker Porter with the step back knockout. I mean, a beautifully timed straight left while Parker Porter, I think, was trying to throw a looping hook. And Justin Tafa just cracked him with the left hand. Got a walk-off KO. Kind of, you know, Mark Hunt-esque. You know what I mean? Remember when Mark Hunt was just knocking people stiff? I mean, the knockout on that knockout last night made me remember the knockout Mark Hunt had on Frank Mir, where he just knocked him and just walked away. Like, he knew Frank Mir didn't have nothing in him after that. So that's exactly what Justin Tafa did. It was a great performance, man. He cracked him with a perfectly timed shot. Parker Porter, man, it just, you know, it's hard going up against guys like Justin Tafa just because they hit so damn hard. But where do I think Justin Tafa goes from here? I don't know. You know, not too long ago, I believe in his last fight, he missed weight for heavyweight, which is kind of insane for you to miss weight for a heavyweight fight just because of how broad the weight class or the weight discrepancy is in that weight class. But he did miss weight. I don't know what the UFC really has planned for him. Maybe that justifies him getting a top 15 opponent. Maybe Blagoy Ivanov, who's sitting at number 15 right now, but I don't really see him getting a top 15 opponent, but it could happen. And Parker Porter, you know, I don't really know where that goes really for him, what the UFC is going to do with him. I think he'll probably stay in the UFC, but I just don't know what their plans are going to be for him. And look at the weights up here. You guys see 266 for Justin Tafa, so he actually just barely made weight for heavyweight. So it's a pretty big guy, but I can't wait to see what Justin Tafa does do, because it looks like he might be the second coming of Mark Hunt in terms of just that knockout power that he does have. So I can't wait to see what he does in the future. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the next fight with Jack Della Magdalena versus Randy Brown. And I mean, this fight was quick, kind of quick, a little bit longer than the Justin Tafa fight, obviously, but it was a pretty fast fight too. Randy Brown was doing a good job when he came out initially of sticking and moving. He was doing a good job of staying at range with Jack, but Jack just did a good job of cutting the cage off. He kept Randy Brown in front of him, and Randy Brown made a really, really bad mistake. He exited the pocket off of the cage with his chin up in the air, and Jack did a good job of throwing that looping left hook, caught Randy Brown, stumbled him, wobbled him, put him on the ground, and then just went for some nice ground and pound, took the back, got a rear naked choke in, got the job done right there. Jack looked very, very good, man. Very, very good. If you guys haven't watched this guy fight, he has some of the best striking, some of the best boxing, I think, in the welterweight division. I mean, he's a very, very good striker. Obviously, he got the submission last night, so that proves that he's an all-around fighter. He can not only knock you out on the feet, he can sub you. So the sky's really the limit. Does this win over Randy Brown mean that he's going to get a top 15 opponent? More than likely, yes. Don't know who the UFC would be looking to match him up with, but honestly, Jack didn't take any damage against Randy Brown. He really, really didn't. He looked very unscathed coming out of that fight. So who knows? We might see Jack be competing here within the next 2 to 3 months, just because he came out relatively unscathed from the fight. Randy Brown, it was a tough loss, man. He like I said, he did a good job initially of keeping range against Jack. He's a very, very good fighter. Obviously, I don't think the UFC is going to cut him, because he just was coming off of, I believe, a 3 or 4 fight win streak. So it just kind of resets him, but he's young, really, really good fighter. He just made that one mistake and got caught with a shot as he was exiting laterally off the cage. You know, so I think he'll come back. He'll be able to bounce back, and I expect he'll probably come back and win his next couple of fights, and he'll be right back in the discussion. But alright, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. We made it to the co-main event of the evening. Yair Rodriguez versus Josh Emmett in the UFC featherweight division for the interim title. And you guys see the judges' scorecards here. They actually, one judge gave the first round to Josh Emmett, and the other 2 gave it to Yair Rodriguez. This fight, honestly, no disrespect. Josh Emmett didn't look like he should be in there with Yair Rodriguez. I'm just not going to... Josh Emmett is a very, 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 very good fighter. Has one-punch knockout power, has very good wrestling. But if you go back and really rewatch the fight, Yair was just working him. Like, it didn't even look like he should have been in there with Yair Rodriguez. Yair was fast, he was quick. I mean, just from the straight off the rip, man, Yair put that... He switched southpaw, landed a very clean body kick to Josh Emmett's liver, and it looked like it really just affected and hampered Josh Emmett for the rest of the round. And that was actually in the first round, so it's kind of surprising that they gave Derek Cleary gave the first round to Josh Emmett, because Yair Rodriguez landed a lot, and he landed very, very clean and damaging strikes. First round, really, really good work from Yair. He did get caught once, but didn't get stumbled or knocked down. But Josh Emmett was able to get him on the ground. Yair did some good work off of his back. And Josh Emmett did land a couple of good ground and pound strikes. So, I mean, I guess I could see why Derek Cleary gave him the first round. But that was in the latter half of the first round. But Yair did land some good elbows from the bottom as well. So, very, very close round. And as you guys can see, it was stopped in the second round. But even in the second round, Yair was just putting in work, man. He was putting in work. Very, very clean kicks as usual. Very powerful strikes. And it was just an absolutely brilliant performance from Yair Rodriguez, which is kind of what we've been coming to see from him almost in every single fight. I mean, I feel like the Max Holloway fight really took Yair to a different place. It really allowed him to showcase to the world how elite of a striker he is. I mean, he just looked great, and even last night he looked great. Obviously, Yair. We'll start off with Josh Emmett first. Josh Emmett. I mean, I don't think he's gonna drop out of the top 10. Obviously, him going up against somebody like maybe a Calvin Kattar rematch because that fight was so close. I could see that in the cards for him. Or I could even see him welcoming back Brian Ortega off of Brian Ortega's shoulder injury. I could see that fight happening, and that if he was able to beat somebody like Ortega, he'd be right back in the mix for a title shot. But that's kind of where I think Josh Emmett's going to be going. I think they're probably likely somebody like Brian Ortega or Calvin Kattar. I would see him fighting. Yair Rodriguez is kind of in an interesting spot. Now, obviously, he's an interim champion, so he can wait for Volkanovski to come back to the weight class. But as we'll talk about in the next fight, obviously, because that was the main event, Volkanovski might not be dropping back down to featherweight for a little bit, man. So Yair's in a very, very interesting spot. I could see him waiting it out, just taking a break and really just waiting for Volkanovski to kind of run this course with Makhachev and see what he's doing. Or potentially, and don't kill the messenger for me telling you guys this, you could potentially see him fighting somebody like Arnold Allen if Arnold Allen is able to get past Max Holloway in their UFC Fight Night main event. That's going to be happening, I think, in April. Because the timeline really kind of matches up, right? Because what we're hearing is rumblings of Makhachev versus Volkanovski too, just because of how good and close the fight was last night. So if that is the case, them guys probably wouldn't be fighting until at least International Fight Week in June, July. And so if that fight does happen, you probably won't see Volkanovski defend the 145 title until early next year at the least. I mean, depending on how much damage he would take in the second Makhachev fight, but Volkanovski didn't come out unscathed from the Makhachev fight last night. So that would put Yair in a very, very weird spot. So you could potentially see Arnold Allen versus Yair Rodriguez for the interim title later on this year, depending on how much damage. Well, obviously, Arnold Allen needs to win and not take a crap ton of damage, which is very hard to do against somebody like Max Holloway. But let's say Arnold Allen was to win, you could potentially see Yair versus Arnold Allen later on this year. And you could potentially see it maybe depending on when they book Makhachev versus Volkanovski too, you could maybe see it on the same card. I would not be opposed to that. Would be crazy. Be crazy, man. But alright, with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the next and last fight that I do have for you guys here. And that is the main event, Islam Makhachev versus Alexander Volkanovski. Now, man, I jumped on Twitter immediately after this fight because I knew motherfuckers were going to be we're going to be tweeting out that Volk got robbed, man. So I immediately jumped on and wanted to see the damn scorecards to this fight. And it's a wild one. I mean, let me just say, this fight was a lot closer than I think a lot of people thought it was going to be. I mean, Volkanovski's ability to stop Islam's takedowns was really, really a surprise, I think, to everybody, even the commentators, man. When he got himself into a bad spot, he was able to scramble out of it. He was very, very close to hitting a couple of switches sometimes on Islam, when Islam was shooting and almost taking top control. He did a very good job of closing the distance very quickly. He did a very good job of working the leg kicks, which we've come to know from Volkanovski as one of his very, very best tools is the leg kicks. He worked Islam's legs very well. Just did a very good job of really neutralizing what Islam is the best at. But Islam did a great job in the stand-up, man. I mean, I know I've been one on stream I kind of started ripping into Islam a little bit just because of his stats on UFC 4. But man, oh man, does he look like he deserves every bit of that buff that they gave him in UFC 4 based off of last night. I mean, his check lead hook, he was landing it damn near almost every time he threw it against Volkanovski. He cracked Volkanovski with a clean left hand, hurt him, stumbled him. I believe in the second round, I think that's when he hit him with that. But he did an amazing job in the stand-up, which I don't think a lot of us give him credit for. I mean, we kind of thought it was an aberration that he knocked Charles Oliveira down on the feet. But after last night, I think we all need to start paying Islam striking some attention, man, because he looked beautiful last night. Looked beautiful. But you guys are seeing the judges' scorecards here. For those of you guys that kind of thought, I want to see the judges' scorecards. What rounds did they give Islam and what rounds did Volk take? So here on Ben Cartledge's scorecard, we have a 10-9 from the first, 10-9 in the second, 10-9 in the third for Volkanovski, 10-9 in the fourth for Islam, and 10-9 in the fifth for Volkanovski. So that's going to put it 48-47. He gave it to Islam. Now, this is the controversial scorecard right here. Derek Cleary's. Because he gave it 49-46 to Islam. I don't agree with this scorecard. I really, really don't. Because he only gave the fifth round to Volkanovski. And I think that's kind of cap. I believe that's major cap. I don't know what he was seeing. But, yeah, I don't agree with the judge's scorecard. This judge's scorecard is Derek Cleary. And I think this is the one that pisses people off the most. And I sided with you guys because I think it was a lot closer of a fight than a 49-46 fight. So I don't know what this guy was smoking, but either way, it is what it is. David Lethaby, he gave the first round to Islam, second round to Islam. I agree with this. The third round, he gave the Volkanovski. I agree to that. 10-9 in the fourth round to Islam, and then 10-9 in the fifth round to make it 48-47. Islam did win by a unanimous decision, but I mean, this fight, I'd be lying if when I was watching this fight, I thought I knew who won. I thought Islam did enough. I thought he was going to win 48-47, but would I have been mad with a Volkanovski win here? No, the fuck I would not. Volkanovski looked like every bit of the pound-for-pound #1 fighter in the world. He did some great work. Like I said, great work on the feet, great work stuffing the takedowns, and everything like that. So, I mean, I wouldn't have been mad if Volkanovski won, but I thought in my mind that Islam did do enough. I believe he got 4 out of 9 takedowns. He got pretty much a takedown every round except for the fifth round. And he did get a little bit of control time as well as mixing in his stand-up. So that's the only reason why I gave him that decision. But obviously, where do both of these fighters go from here? They're going to rerun this shit. I'd be highly surprised if both of these guys move on from this fight just because of how close of a fight as it was for both of them. And really, I don't think there's a #1 contender that really will make as much money in terms of revenue for the UFC than both of these guys together. I mean, Islam, you really can't say that he can really draw. I mean, who would he have next? I mean, another Charles fight, that's not going to do more numbers than Volkanovski. Let's say if Beneil Dariush wins, that fight's not going to do anywhere near the type of numbers that Volkanovski will do. So I don't see it coming from his end, him moving on. And I don't see Volkanovski really moving on either. I mean, obviously he has the mandatory challenger in Yair Rodriguez, but Volk's pretty much already cleaned out the featherweight division. I mean, he's defended it enough to where I think the UFC will be like, you know what, this fight was close enough. We're gonna rerun this. This fight obviously with Islam is gonna make way more money than a fight with Yair Rodriguez would. So I think they'll probably book this depending on the medical reports for both fighters. I wouldn't be surprised to see an International Fight Week or maybe the latest August, September. This will probably be a Vegas fight with how big it was, because I think Islam's kind of earned the right to fight in Vegas now. I mean, he took the fight going into Perth, which is, for those of you guys that don't know, Volkanovski's home country. He went into Western Australia and was able to get the win. So I think they'll book this fight in Las Vegas. probably, I would say early August, if not International Fight Week, like I said, depending on the medical reports. And like I said earlier, I'd like to see Yair Rodriguez and Arnold Allen, if Arnold Allen is able to get past Max. I'd like to see both of them fight on this Islam Makhachev Alexander Volkanovski card, just to make it a little more interesting. If Volkanovski does win or lose, he's going to have to drop back down to 145 and defend the title either way. But it's going to make for a very, very interesting card later on this year. And honestly, I can't wait for this damn card for this fight to happen again, man. It's such an entertaining fight. These guys really 1 and 2 in terms of pound for pound fighters on the pound for pound list right now. And deservedly so. These guys look like world beaters last night. I'm not going to cap. But that's it for the video, guys. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to slap that subscribe button as well as slap that like button. And drop a comment in the comment section, man. If you guys, I want to hear the way you guys judge this main scorecard. I have been hearing a lot of people say Volkanovski. I've been hearing a lot of people say Islam won the fight. But I want to know, in your opinions, who did you see winning this fight? And I want to hear why. I don't just want to hear, well, Volkanovski just stuffed Makhachev's takedowns. I want to hear why you guys think Volkanovski either got robbed, or why you guys think that Islam Makhachev really did enough to really win this fight. But until the next video, guys, take it easy, be safe, enjoy the rest of your guys' day, afternoon, evening, depending on where you guys are watching this from. And I will see you guys in the next video.